atmosphere, Venus is going to pass in front of the Sun in what's called a planetary transit. Mercury and Venus are the only planets that can transit the Sun from our perspective, of course. Mercury does it 13 times a century, and it's super small, so it's hard to see. But Venus transits twice within a few years and then doesn't do it again for more than a century. The first transit of Venus observed by telescope was in 1639, and the event allowed astronomers to measure Venus's diameter for the very first time. Since then, Venus has only transited the Sun 5 times.
Asteroid 1950 DA has been freaking people out for decades because it's more than a kilometer across, big enough to cause planet-wide extinction event level destruction. And it also has the highest impact probability so far, at worst 1 in 300 or 0.33%. Thing is, our rendezvous with 1950 DA won't happen until March 16th, 2000. Europa's surface was as smooth as a baby's bottom. Well, if a baby's bottom has cracks several miles wide in it. But if you looked really close, a baby's bottom would have cracks several miles wide in it. It turns out that its surface is the smoothest in the solar system. Thing number 2. Europa's surface was also highly reflective. A lot like the surface of, like, say, a frozen lake. And it even absorbed a lot of the same wavelengths of infrared light that ice does. Like water ice. See? Huh? You see where I'm going? Thing number 3. In the 1990s, Hubble detected that Europa has a very thin, tenuous atmosphere made up mainly of molecular oxygen. And thing number 4. The Galileo probe found out that Europa also has a faint magnetic signature that it picks up from Jupiter's magnetic field. But that signature could only be created if Europa were covered with something that conducted electricity. Much like salt water does. I know, we're talking about a place that's covered with frozen water, it has a tenuous oxygen atmosphere, and even though it's 485 million miles from the Sun, it's actually not that cold. Turns out, Europa is caught in this constant gravitational tug-of-war between the planet Jupiter and its sister moons Io and Ganymede. And that gravitational tug-of-war creates friction on Europa, meaning that its subsurface oceans are probably quite warm and liquid.
After 20 years of drilling, Russian scientists working in Antarctica have officially reached the world's 3rd largest lake. It took 20 years because Lake Vostok is a subglacial lake buried deep below 2.2 miles of ice and snow. It's believed that the encased body of water hasn't seen the light of day for over 15 million years, and scientists around the world are holding their breath as the Russians take the final steps in gathering samples from the ancient H2O.
The scientists are waiting to drill the last couple thousand feet so they can actually prepare the drilling area and not contaminate the pristine waters when they officially make contact, because nothing would be more human than dirtying the place up when they arrive. Scientists hope to extract the first sample from the ice later on this year.
One of the key questions surrounding this operation is, does this lake harbor life? The isolated body of water is an extreme environment, and the discovery of primitive bacteria or even complex life forms would help scientists better understand Earth's past.
Results of the 20-year-old experiment will actually provide valuable insight for searching for extraterrestrials in the future space exploration. This is because many scientists believe that the lake actually resembles the lakes found on Europa, one of Jupiter's moons.
And it also could assist in understanding climate change because Antarctica holds over 70% of the planet's fresh water. A supermassive black hole being ejected from its own galaxy. Yes, an all-consuming, existence-obliterating, supermassive black hole was booted from its home galaxy, and now it's zipping across the universe at incomprehensible speeds. Man, space is cool.
Well, it's simple, as all things with black holes are. Said black hole collided with a supermassive black hole from a different galaxy. A massive recoil force was generated, and boom! Telescope images of the sun showed what looked like a dark, shadowy object tied to the sun by some sort of a dark filament. In the images, an eruption of bright light is seen on the sun's surface surrounding this dark object. Then, the object detaches and shoots out into space. This footage is actually a composite of images captured by the Solar Dynamics Observatory, and it's quickly gotten a lot of attention with people believing this orb could be anything from a UFO to a new planet being born, since it's the size, roughly, of Jupiter.
But to the disappointment of nerds everywhere, NASA has actually debunked these theories, stating that the footage actually shows what's known as a solar prominence. It's basically dense plasma that loops and can extend from the sun's surface thousands of miles into space. No one knows what causes this
Because it turns out going into space is expensive.
Dang it!
With our current rocket system, it currently costs about $10,000 to go into space.
Okay, I can work with that.
For every 2.2 pounds.
Dang it!
But something might change in the distant future, Joe. When you're an emaciated, gray-haired grandpa, you might be able to hop on what's known as a magnetic magnetic levitation train, or maglev as it were, to shoot your saggy butt straight into orbit. StarTram is a proposed launch system that would use magnetic levitation trains, a 1,000-mile tunnel, and a superconducting cable to reach low Earth orbit.
If this sounds ridiculous, don't worry. So did going to the moon. The technology for the StarTram already exists, and it would be a fraction of
NASA, that don't make no sense.
Now, I think by all that, you mean demons.
NASA, National Association of Space Evil.
You're gonna try and sell me some jibber jab about wavelengths, huh? Well, you're gonna be sorry when those wavelengths of God's sweet holy army come crashing down from the heavens and take you home to meet your maker.
Yeah, hey NASA, here's a better explanation. Some UFO got tired of crop dusting my Uncle Willie's farmland and didn't realize that Peepa Tom NASA was watching its every move like a bunch of little perverts.